Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how I prepare my pointe shoes. I'm a professional ballerina with Birmingham Royal Ballet, and the first thing I like to do with my freed pointe shoes is take the nail out. So in every pair of freed pointe shoes, generally, especially in this style, the classic style, there's a nail in it that I have to kind of pull out, otherwise it's slightly uncomfortable. It also gives a little bit more flexibility to the shoe, which I quite like. Maybe not the best if you have super flexible and hypermobile feet, but for me this works really well. The next step in the process is darning, probably the most time consuming part. So on the top of the shoes, sometimes the platform is a little bit uneven, so we put a kind of string around the top of the shoe to try and create an even platform for the shoe to sit on. So when we're obviously dancing, it's great to have like a more even platform so that we can balance well. So I do this all the way around the shoe. I can't say I'm the best at darning. I only started darning my shoes when I started wearing freeds, which was under a year ago, before I was wearing Merlet, and you didn't have to darn those because they're factory made and very consistent on the top of the shoes, whereas freeds I do find are slightly less consistent platforms, so I have to make sure I give myself a nice place to balance on. As you can see there, the shoe can balance completely on its own once I've darned it. So I do this on both shoes, and it roughly takes 5 to 10 minutes per shoe, depending on how much my yarn is causing me issues. Sometimes I find the yarn quite difficult to get through the top of the shoe. I'm still trying to find my favorite yarn to use. Let me know if you guys have any recommendations. I don't like my darning too thick, but also don't like it too thin, because when it's too thin I feel like it's kind of pointless for me. Because each pair of freeds is handmade, it does mean that not every shoe is completely the same, hence why I darn these shoes and didn't darn the Merlet ones. I do find it makes a big difference. Once the darning is done, it's time to sew on the elastics. So I like quite a bit of elastic because I often find the shoes feel like they're going to slip off my heels. So I do a cross elastic. I do it quite high up on the shoe. A lot of people do it a bit lower, but because of the shape of my feet, sometimes I find that the top bits where my metatarsals are can pop out, and I like the elastic to draw them back in. So hence why I sew them so far up. Again, this could change with time. I feel like the way I sew my shoes is constantly evolving, but right now this is what's working for me. So before I've completely finished sewing the elastics, I get onto the ribbons because it's just a bit easier without the cross elastic getting in the way. The way I measure my ribbons is just an arm length. It actually really helps, and it's pretty much exactly how much I need. Maybe I cut off like a couple of centimeters at the end, but really not much. And then I sew these on. I sew these right in the middle of my shoes. Again, some people like to angle them downwards, but for me, right in the middle I find provides the most support for my arch. Again, this could change, but right now it's what's working for me and I find it comfortable. And my biggest thing is my ribbons don't get loose on my ankles. I find sometimes when I sew them elsewhere, they get really loose. After I've sewn on the ribbons, I then sew the second part of the elastic so it's nicely crossed over. I do find the sewing process to be quite tedious. I think each pair of shoes takes roughly an hour to complete, and when you're going through almost a pair of shoes a day, this can be very time consuming, but you can do it while watching telly or listening to a podcast. I was about to say reading a book. I don't think that's quite possible. Anyhow, once the shoes are sewn, step 5 is a new step recently that I've added, is jet glue to try and make them last longer. So jet glue can actually make them last 1 or 2 days longer. I just jet glue the insides and slightly up the box. Sometimes I do the arch as well when I'm particularly desperate. Before doing step 6, which is burning the ends of the ribbons, I do this so that they do not fray and go everywhere. before I do step 7, where I just flatten the box. So the boxes are quite hard, especially after I've jet glued them. So I just step on them a bit, squish them a little bit around so that they're ready to fit onto my feet in the studio. Otherwise they do feel a bit like bricks when you initially put them on. So once I put them on in the studio, I do tighten the drawstrings as tight as I possibly can to make sure that it's kind of molded and fitted to my feet. And then I kind of mold them to my feet by dancing in them. Initially they can feel quite clunky, but that's only for the first kind of few minutes of dancing them. The shoes I'm wearing at the moment, which are the classics, tend to break pretty quickly and pretty easily. I don't have to do much to make them start feeling quite comfortable. However, the shoes that I'm waiting on possibly is the classic Pro 90. Now they take a little bit longer to start feeling comfortable on my feet, whereas these ones I feel like I can start wearing straight away in class. The classic Pro 90s maybe takes a little bit longer to break in and make them feel comfortable, just because they're a slightly different arch to the shoe. But yeah, that is how I customize and prepare my Pointe shoes. I really hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in any part of the process a little bit more, maybe how to darn the shoes, then let me know and I can totally make a tutorial on that. And there I am as Red Riding Hood on stage in the shoes. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button and keep dreaming big and making it happen. See you guys next week.